I, Demba Njai,
do swear that
do swear that
I will speak the truth,
I speak the truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, members of the audience. And good morning, Mr. Witness.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the TRRC. You don't need any introductions here. You've already been here before. You also understand all of the guidelines that we have here. I will just encourage you to make yourself comfortable, please.
Thank you.
And I would also like to remind you about your duty to tell the truth. As you know, it is a criminal offense to lie before the commission. I would like to go through the topics which we'll be discussing today in your testimony. And our main focus will just be on what you witnessed and heard as Chief of Protocol at State House around April 2000. During your previous testimony here at the Commission, when we were covering the themes around the 1994 coup, the April 11th incident, as well as the death of Koro Ceesay, you did not have the chance to make a final statement, so we will also give you an opportunity to do so. Are you ready to proceed?
I am.
Please give us your full names.
I am Demba Njai.
Mr. Njai, as I've already said, you testified before the Commission on the 27th day of February, 2019. So therefore, there's no need to lead you on some of these preliminary facts, such as your personal information and your educational history, as well as your professional background. We will only touch on your professional background briefly as it relates to your duties as Chief of Protocol in April 2000. Is that understood?
It is.
It is correct that in 1997, you became Chief of Protocol at the State House.
It's correct.
And can you tell me what your role as Chief of Protocol was?
Well, as Chief of Protocol, basically you are responsible for the programs of the President, minuting files of those whom he would meet, preparing the office, participating in national events, advising at times if necessary. If you see that things are not the right way and you have the opportunity, you advise and make sure that the situation is okay.
And would it be correct to say that as your role as Chief of Protocol, you were closely interacting with the President?
I was. And I had the opportunity not only during hours of Chief of Protocol, but in most times when I close work, he would call me and I would be at the State House with him till late hours before I go back home.
And what would you describe your relationship with the President as?
Very cordial then.
Can you tell us where you were around April 2000?
April 2000, we were on a trip to Cuba in Havana.
Can you remember the precise dates of that trip?
I would know that 10th and 11th found us in Cuba, in Havana.
And what was the purpose of this trip?
I had been going there many times, but this one, I think it was the, not Commonwealth, but some conference on, it was an international conference. It was an international conference, official one, non-aligned movement, if I can fully remember.
Thank you very much. And whilst on the trip, did you receive any information from the Gambia?
Yes, I did. That there was a student demonstration and that some students died from it.
Did you receive any further details about this demonstration?
Not from anybody else, but I know there was a time the president called me to his house, his room, and asked me to contact the pilot and that we make a flight plan immediately for a return to the Gambia, unannounced, to arrive in the Gambia between 3 and 4 a.m. and arrive secretly, that is unannounced.
When did the president give you this information?
If I may fully remember, it should be a day after the incident that I heard of the killing of the students.
Would that be the 11th of April?
It could be.
Do you know whether the president was informed about the demonstrations on the actual day of the incident, which was the 10th?
I may not be aware, but I know he should be. As head of state and having a government behind, such a thing of that magnanimity would have been told to him.
Please tell us the arrangements that you made for your return back to the Gambia.
Well, I immediately called the pilot who was in a different location. We sat down. I gave him the instructions that the president gave me to make a flight plan that will make us arrive in the Gambia within 3, 4 a.m. late hours. That I did with him.
And did you eventually depart Cuba for the Gambia?
We did. We had to cut our trip short and came back.
And how long were you supposed to stay in Cuba, if you remember?
I think we may have spent 2 more other days, but we had to cut it short and come.
Do you know why you had to cut the trip short?
Well, I guess it was the information that would have been received by him and that he couldn't be there comfortable whilst the Gambia is burning.
And under what circumstances did you arrive in the Gambia on the April 11, 2000?
Very strange circumstances, because usually when we used to travel, we announced that we were traveling a day or 2 before. When we are coming, we have to come back when the date is set, or we have to send message here that we are coming, and it's announced that we are arriving this time and that time of this day. But in this particular time, they asked me to make a secret, and we arrived here unannounced. When we arrived at the airport, we took the convoy without siren. We had to go through at Junction, where we call Cow Junction. We took Bundung Highway. We drove without siren up to Serekunda Market Junction. We branched right straight to Westfield and Banjul, which had never happened all the years I had been there since Sadauda Jawara's time.
And did you understand why all the secrecy surrounding the president's arrival?
Well, it had to do with these happenings then, the killing of the student, and people may not have been happy, and that it could have led to any other thing. That's why we made it secret. That's what my assumption was.
And after you arrived in the Gambia, did you personally come to find out the circumstances surrounding the April 10th and 11th demonstrations?
Well, he may have been briefed by the government and the authorities responsible. But people like me, we heard it from the soldiers, this and that happened, that rumors were out. But officially, I know he would be informed by authorities responsible.
What about yourself? Did you find out anything about the demonstrations?
Yes, because after a day or two, I went out the streets. I saw the damages done, like Westfield, Gamtel, some telephone booths, and I think a police station that was vandalized.
And did you come to know under what circumstances these properties were damaged and vandalized?
Yes, I had the students after some killings were also mad, and they had no other arms but to see anything belonging to the state to destroy. And that's why they were doing that, I believe.
And do you know who actually carried out the killings that you mentioned, the killing of students? Were you informed?
No, I had not been informed.
And you didn't come to know at a later date?
Well, as time went on, one night I was at the State House with the President, around after 9, going towards 10.
Mr. Njai, just before we get there, I would just like to ask you a few other questions. After the President arrived from Cuba, did he make any public statement?
No, not to my knowledge. I can't
Do you
remember
know-
him saying any public announcement.
Do you know if any other public announcements were made about the demonstrations from anybody in authority?
I heard that the Vice President then, Dr. Aissatou Sedi, made a public announcement
And do you know the nature of the announcement she made?
that the students may have been responsible for the killing of other students, I believe.
Very well. After the President arrived, did he say or do anything regarding the victims of the April 10 and 11 demonstrations?
There was a weekend. I'm not sure whether it was the weekend after we arrived also, but he went to the RVTH at the then emergency wing to visit the students, those who were hospitalized there.
Can you tell us how the visit was conducted?
Very private, not many people, not followed by many people, but there were bodyguards, if I can remember. Maybe a few people from the RVTH also, the health sector, were with him there. I can't remember who it may be again.
Did you have any issues with some of the people that went with the President?
Well, yes, that day when he was going to the hospital, I saw armed men, armed guards in camouflage uniforms, holding their AK-47s entering the hospital. I said, this is not right. Can I continue?
I
Just hold on,
understand,
Mr.
Mr. Chair, that the batteries have gone down, so we have to stop. We have to stop the hearings.
to continue. No, this is suspension, not adjournment. So suspension, you can go on as you started, even if you have only a few. But I didn't adjourn the meeting. Right. Okay, but if you're ready, you can bring the witness back, and then we continue. No, not you.
Nobody's here. Nobody's here.
Sorry, Elsa. I didn't mean to send you. Please proceed, counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back, Mr. Njai. We apologize for that technical difficulty we just had. And are you ready to proceed?
I am.
Before we went on the break, you were just explaining some of the issues that you had with the president's bodyguard. Can you just start again and tell us what issues you raised with them?
Well,
Please go ahead. I believe the microphones are still working.
during that visit to the RVTH, where the president wanted to check on the students who were admitted, I observed that some soldiers in military fatigue, that's the camouflage, were coming into the hospital with their AK-47s. That I raised a point of objection that this is not right. Within the premises of the hospital, I don't...
President of the 10th of April 2000, you still remained as chief of protocol at State House, is that correct?
I did.
And at any time, did you hear the president mention this incident to anybody?
Yes, it took some time until one night when I was with him at the State House around 9 going towards 10.
Do you remember the date?
No, I couldn't. I can't remember the date.
Can you tell us if it was?
Baba Joe Boston late now and found us sitting at the sitting room upstairs.
Just indicate whether it was a few weeks or a few months after the April 10th and 11 incidents.
I would call it a few months.
Very well, please proceed.
Then he came in and went straight to the president. The college students are about to perform another sitting demonstration, this time to block the highway. And the situation is getting serious. It was then that President Jammeh said, dañ bugga ma def more than the ma defoon 10th and 11 April, which means they want me to do worse than I did in 10th and 11 April.
And what did you understand this to mean?
That then he was responsible for the killings of 10th and 11 April. It was there that Baba Job, yes, objected to it. And tell him, no, sir. And he told him, then go and talk to them then. You want him firmly to go and talk to them, or else he will do worse than what happened in 10th and 11th April.
And do you know which particular students he was referring to?
I think this time it was the college students, GAMSU students then.
And do you know if Baba Job actually went back and spoke to them as instructed?
Baba Job went back. When he came back to the president, I would not know, but I know that after that issue, the word GAMSU changed to NAPSA, which means something National Patriotic Students Association or so. And that patriotism, that word patriotism, which Yajami used to boast of as patriot, any good patriot is somebody who is behind him and say yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, and do what he wants, and never object to anything he did. That's when the Students' Union, I think, came a new rebirth and become more political than unionism.
And can you tell us what, if any, influence Yaya Jammeh had at that point on that organization?
That NAPS or something, I think, benefited a lot from him, because there are no more of anything against the state, but anything that Yaya Jammeh wants, politicizing everything, doing on his yes and and leaving his don'ts.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us? Anything more that you know about this particular incident?
I think for this incident, this is what the only thing I know about it, that the conclusion I came out with, that he was behind this thing because of the words he uttered, and Baba Diop came to inform him that the students are about to perform another demonstration.
You came to the conclusion that the ex-president Yaya Jammeh was responsible for the shootings that happened to the students on the 10th and 11th of April 2000.
Yes, I did.
Very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. We've come to the end of the witness's testimony. It was very short, Mr. Chairman, so I will hand it over to the commissioners for any questions they may ask. The last time he testified, he did not have the opportunity to give any final remarks because he had limited time. So perhaps, Mr. Chairman, you would allow him to make his final statement today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you very much, Mr. Njai, for that. Council, do I take it then do I take it then that this is his last appearance before the Commission?
I would not know if he has further information to give us, but at this stage, this is all we need from him.
No, I mean, as far as your own planning goes, this is it.
As far as the April 10th and 11th goes.
Splendid. Thank you very much.
But I don't know if he's involved in any other themes.
No, it's the closing remarks that I'm really driving at. If he can make it now.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Commissioners, if you have any questions, please so indicate. Yeah, Commissioner Jallo, Imam Jallo, you have the floor, please.
You highlighted that the GAMSU and NAPSU became more of a union than the actual unions that are in existence. Now, what advice do you have for young Gambians who are often manipulated by our politicians to get into areas that they have no idea and should not participate in?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. The generation in which the children, let us be more focused in our educational background, our educational pursuit, than follow politicians. Politicians are here for their own interests. Help me and I will be better than you. I fight for you in the streets. I vote for you. Tomorrow, I may die or suffer or lose my education or fail my exams. And the politician who succeeded would send his children to Europe or anywhere and learn. You, from a poor background, you start from zero. Let us be wise enough. We start with our parents. Let them advise our children to desist from these political activities. Students have only one agenda, that is learning. Let them concentrate on their books, on their teachers. Learn what they should learn, and when they grow up, then and have enough responsibility and have enough education, they could do everything they would want to. But if we follow these politicians, I'm sorry to say the word selfish, self-interest, they will end up losing at the end of the day. So let parents, we advise our children and let children listen to parents, indulge into studying, reading their books, doing something good, than going in the streets and fighting and damaging and vandalizing things. It's not good for us. The generation, the youths of today is the future of the country. If we have bad youths today, tomorrow we are going to have very bad administration, very bad authorities. So let's try to be good now so that tomorrow we'll handle our country the right way.
Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, Mr. Njai, if you have your closing remarks to make, please proceed to do so now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have been hearing before coming about this as a former security agent. It's a security reform. Yes, there's the Security Reform Commission. But we as officers should reform ourselves first. As I was saying, children should desist from following politicians. We officers should cease to be somebody's officers. This is of national interest. It's the Gambia's national security. Whether army or police or para or immigration, we are national. Let not us be used by the politicians for their own gains. Yes, for 22 years, if we may remember, we officers were living in a state of emergency. I would call it state of emergency because we all owe allegiance to one individual, that is President Yahya Jammeh. There was this, an example is, there was this officers' mess. You never see two or three officers sitting, interacting, chatting within the officers' mess because nobody trusts each other. Everybody would try to see that one or two were there and this is what they scored. Tomorrow you are dismissed or arrested or molested for preparing a coup d'etat and so on and so forth. We are living a hostage life then, all officers. Nobody will stay outside the streets until after 9-10. We didn't believe in ourselves. We are not serving the national interest. And that's where we should be. So before this commission, reform commission, let us reform ourselves as officers and make sure we act as national officers, not individual officers. We not owe allegiance to, yes, to the head of state, it's there, but we are serving the Gambian National Armed Forces or Security Forces. Something else that I want to discuss, I served almost all my services at the State House. Yes, the president is the president. We may not say no, sir, to the president, but talking to those who are around him, I've been around a president, Sir Dawda Jawara and President Jammeh. Sometimes you say, yes, sir, but don't you think this and that? But though we who used to be around the presidency, usually we are used to something, sir, this one is not good. Sir, that one is not good. Sir, fire this one. Sir, do this to that one. That would not help a president. That would not help a country. Everybody there is a responsible somebody in this country. For no reason, somebody tells lies somewhere and you are fired. It's very wrong. It has been happening. Let us help the president. Let us, if you are given position of trust, do it. Do your job so that when you go home, you sleep comfortably. Don't be destroying people. Don't be misleading the president. Don't do that. I was here in February. After testifying, I saw some people who went into the media and said, yes, Demanja said Yahya Jammeh was bad. Then why should he recommend his best friend, Korosise, to work with him? But Korosise was not my best friend. He was somebody I knew, I respected for his values. And I was not working for Yaya Jammeh, I was working for the Gambia government. And if I see somebody who could assist in the development of this country, I would have done so. I didn't only do it to Koro Ceesay, I recommended others. One may have remembered the name Baba Ningsi Soho. I recommended him to the president. I did. I recommended him to the president. And I made sure I participated in certain things he was doing, because the time he was coming to Gambia, then Gambia was left behind, where was ignored by everybody. Sanctions. He came and he said he wanted to invest in the Gambia. We had no friends then. And in him investing in the Gambia would have helped a lot. I recommended that he met the president, because the president asked me to interview him. I did that. And I didn't stop there. I also participated in making him opening businesses like Air Dabia, where many Gambians worked. I participated in convincing him to buy Amis Beach Hotel from AMRC, renovated it, and opened it for business, where thousands of Gambians survived. I personally remember meeting him in Miami with one state minister, a very influential state minister then, used to call Action Man. When we met the president, when we met Baboucarr in Miami, he came back with a Lexus, brand new Lexus for himself. When Baboucarr asked me what I should do, I tell him, Mr. Sissoko, in the Gambia right now at the State House, the president has inherited an old convoy of motor bicycles. Whenever he is going out, one or two will have a breakdown on the highway. And this is an embarrassment. If you want to help, I want you to buy us a fleet of motor bicycles so that this thing would not happen again. I would have asked if a Lexus I could get it, but I didn't. I say I want the convoy to be changed. When he gave me the green light, I flew back to the Gambia, informed the president that I had done some negotiations for the motorbikes to be changed, and asked whether I could continue. He told me yes. It was then I left back with the late Keba Sanyang now, who was the chief mechanic, to Miami, and then to Paris, identified the motorcycles, bought them, left him there to package it, and I came back home and then sent to the Gambia. If anybody stands here today and say Gambia government bought motorcycles in 1996 for the presidential convoy, which cost millions, it's not true. I negotiated for it. But it was my country. This I'm talking because of those who are close to the president. If you are close to the president and you can do for your nation, do it. Don't ask what your nation can do for you. The last but not the least that I did as when I was close somebody to the president is, people may not know, but today, the State House Mosque was built by my blocks, with my blocks. When he came in, and God's World Bank was not yet operating for him, that he used to say God's World Bank. He wanted to build the mosque. There was no money available at that time. I had blocks that I bought, and they were lying opposite Amsterdam there, near the dumping site. The man who sold me the blocks is still alive. He's called Minte Ba. He was then the driver of the truck of the State House. He sold me those blocks. And I was to finish my house in Kotu here, but when this arose, I take the blocks. Whenever you have money, you refund me, and I continue my building. It wasted my time, it wasted my building, but it was a house of God. And I said, let me put it there because it was a better use. So when we are close to the president or to the State House, or we are given personal trust, let's try to do what we should do for the interest of the nation. Let us help each other. Going to the president or going to somewhere and saying this is not good, let us desist. And as somebody close to the presidency, sometimes please act as a fire extinguisher. Situations arose when he would take serious decisions which we would consider as not good, and I'll stop it. One of it was from 2006, from 1996 elections, after the declaration of the last result, that is Common North, and the euphoria and everything. Surrounded by his by supporters and campaign team and everything. After everything, he went to at the last stairs where he was going upstairs. He uttered something. Guy opposition dañu xam ne man maa leen gën a gara xam nga xaaral ba ma pare si ñoom. Nobody what I said no sir. I said no sir. From today you are the president of all Gambians, irrespective of political affiliations. Don't do that. I did it. I can remember Lai Conte. Lai Conte, he was at this place, KMC chairman. When he was fired, when we woke up one day and that he was fired, I, with the then state guard commander, Lantombong Tamba, we talked. We couldn't convince him. I said, I'll take the risk. I called Yankuba Toure. I called Susan Wafa Ogu. Let them go behind the building when it's about 4 o'clock. And I opened the door for them and let them meet him and convince him that this shouldn't be done because it's not good for Serekunda, it's not good for the interests of the nation. I knew I was going home that day. But I did it. When they came in, I opened the door for them. They went in, they met him. As soon as he went out to go out of his office, he met them, and he had no other choice but to usher them into the sitting room. They went in, they talked. I packed all my things and go home. I know I was going home. And I was going to go home, but it could have been very serious. I made sure that they changed his mind, and Lai Conte got back his job. Sanwa Lantombong and Yankuba today. But at that same night, around 2 a.m., Yajame called me in my house phone. I said, yes, sir. He told me, I've been giving you money to pay for my guests in hotels, Atlantic Hotel and the Kairawa Beach Hotel. I said, yes, sir. I need my receipts first thing tomorrow morning. I said, yes, sir. But early in the morning, I prepared everything, which I was packaging and keeping. I gave them to him. And what he said, he just and said, use the F letter word and say, give them to Ablai Kujabi. And I knew that then, if I hadn't produced those papers, I would have been dismissed, arrested, handed over to the police, taken to court for economic crimes. But God so good that helped me. So those around, let us try to do things. When you walk, make sure when you are at office, do what you think so that when you go back home, you sleep comfortably. Do things rightly where you can desist respectfully. And the last thing is, I'm appealing to this commission for justice. We would all agree that from 1996 to 2016, there had been elections in this country every 5 years. And there had not been a lot of talk after every election. We knew that in 2006, there was a coup d'etat. People came here, sat on this chair, wearing the Gambian National Army uniform, that they participated in that coup d'etat. And some of them showed no remorse, and even agreeing with the chairman, the commissioner, that they never regretted what they're doing and would have or could have done it again if such situations arise. When you were quoting the Geneva Convention, or conventions, when we knew that in the Constitution, coup d'etats are not accepted. But still they have that belief. We all knew that in 2014 there was a coup d'etat. Some died, some ran away, some were arrested. If we want justice, let justice be done. Because what I observe in this is worse than George Orwell's Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal. Because before the creation of this commission or so, those people who committed these offenses, which is one of the gravest offenses against the Constitution, that is coup d'etat, are recalled and considered as heroes. Are we encouraging coup d'etats? Some of them stood and said they will do it again, yet they are in the system. Some who did nothing absolutely and found themselves out of the system are not considered. And in 2014, the one I can remember is when these people, this coup d'etat was committed, most people, far and beyond, wrote congratulatory messages to the president, condemning these boys or these perpetrators, calling them traitors, calling them all names. And it's on paper, it's on record, announced over radio stations and the television. The same guys today who are manning very serious, very key positions in the security service, who were the ambassadors then, who wrote those letters that I can still remember, called these people heroes. As security advisors, they advised the president to bring them back. As CDS, they advised they brought them back into the system. Convicts of the coup d'etats, whom you, because Yahya made there to please him, you said no to it and called them all names. Today you call them heroes and bring them to the system. And those who did nothing are left behind today, with families and so on and so forth, moving the states, turned into civilized beggars because they will not hold something to beg. But boy, can you help me with a bag of rice? Boy, can you help me with it? 14 years I am sitting without salary for doing nothing. My file is as clean as snow. I've never offended anything. I have never got a charge sheet in the system. Likewise, many others. But today, they don't mind who we are. Those who did the coup d'etat and do other bad things, and who killed and who tortured are in the system, enjoying, while those who that did nothing in their life are here suffering. I apologize for any hard talk, or I may say I'm sorry for everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Njai, for those closing remarks. Council, are we ready with the next witness? Can you give me some guidance on what we do? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I thought we were. Fortunately or unfortunately, the next witness opted to change his statement. So I am waiting to see what the outcome would be, what the new statement would look like. But I'm ready to put the witness on the stand, maybe 2-3 minutes after I receive this statement. So perhaps maybe we could stand down for 10 minutes. Let me coordinate that activity, and then we will resume.
Fine, thank you. We will
yes,
take
I should be able to skim through the statement very quickly.
Fine, we'll take a 10-minute suspension and resume in 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Much obliged, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Discharge the witness, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai, for coming to testify before the Commission. And thanks again, Noah, for your closing remarks. Thank you. So are we ready to continue with the next witness? If we are, please proceed. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we are ready to proceed with the next witness. Perhaps I should go and fetch the witness. Thank you. Sagar would volunteer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I, Gurgimbo, do swear that
I'll speak the truth,
I will speak the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Good morning, Mr. Mboop.
Morning.
Welcome to the TRRC.
Thank you.
I hope you are ready to give your testimony.
Exactly, sir.
Wonderful. Before you do so, let me warn you, Mr. Mboop, that it is an offense under the laws of this country to lie under oath. Do you understand that, sir?
I do, sir.
It's also an offense to give a false testimony to the TRRC. Do you understand that?
I do, sir.
And you therefore warned to desist from saying anything that would mislead the TRRC into error. You understand?
Well copied, sir.
Kindly give us your full names, please.
My names are Gorgi L. Mboop. The L is for Lewtan. Lewtan.
What is your date of birth?
My date of birth is 24th of April, 1971.
Where were you born?
I was born in Banjul, Lancaster Street.
Number?
The number must be 64 Lancaster Street, 54 Lancaster Street, 54.
Okay, interesting. So, where did you go to school?
I started school in Sarekunda Primary School, then to Sukuta Secondary School, and then to the Muslim High School.
Which year did you complete Muslim High School?
I completed Muslim High School in the year 1987.
What did you do after that?
The following year, 1988, in March, 2 years after, I joined the police force.
And that would be in 1989, correct?
No, it was 1988. I finished 87 and then joined the police force in March 88.
That would be 1 year after
One year after,
completing
yes.
Muslim High
Sorry
School.
for that information. It's 1 year after.
And tell us your progression in the Gambia Police Force.
Okay. In 1989, I was graduated as a recruit. And then
your training was for how long?
For 7 months. For 7 months. And then later promoted to the rank of first class in the year 1993, first class constable, I mean, to the year 1993. And then to the rank of corporal in 1995. Then to the rank of sergeant in 2004. And then to sub-inspector in the year 2006. And then to chief inspector in the year 2008, to assistant superintendent of police in the year 2009, to superintendent 2011, to chief superintendent of police 2015, and to assistant commissioner of police, the current rank I am serving in this year 2019, January.
Essentially, for 10 years, you are a corporal.
Please say it again. For 10 years?
From 1993
Yes.
to 2003,
Yes.
you did not rise beyond corporal.
That's true.
And since the madness, those promotions, rapid promotions from 2004 to 2015, you became chief superintendent of police.
Exactly.
Very rapid, isn't it, compared to the first half of your service in the force?
That's true.
Where were you based on April 2000?
I was in Banjul at the police headquarters.
In which unit?
In the licensing department, or licensing unit, you may call it.
And what is the role of those who worked at the licensing unit?
At that particular time, my role was to register vehicles as well as updating vehicle registration files.
And on April 10, 2000, that was still your job, correct?
Exactly.
Kindly tell us what happened in the morning of that day.
Okay. In the morning of April 10th, 11, it was around 9:30 when I was in my office, in the licensing office and the police headquarters. There was an RSM. When we say RSM, we mean a regimental sergeant major who was in charge of the personnel. He was a man in charge of discipline, fall in and fall out. He blew his whistle and called fall in. And then this one, it was a general fall in. Everybody at the headquarters should report to the parade ground. And that is what exactly all of us did so and reported to the parade ground. Then he, RSM Jaju himself, stood before all of us and addressed the parade.
Do you know RSM Jaju's first name?
Yes, exactly. Sorry for not telling you. It's Kajali Jaju. Kajali Jaju.
Proceed, please.
Okay. When he appeared before people, he briefed us that there is an ongoing riot in Serekunda. If you may allow me, I will use the terms he was using because he was not very fluent in English. He usually speaks Aku.
Proceed, please.
Okay. He was saying something like, Unano sabi safe riot day in Serekunda, meaning don't you know that there is riot going in Serekunda? And then all of us started laughing for his language. He said, Una keep laughing. Them burn the mobile, you people are laughing. Them burn the go-to station, you people are laughing. So that is where we were until he said there is a need for us to stay on parade.
You said this was a general fall-in.
Yes, a general fall-in.
Were any particular ranks excluded from those who were to come to the parade?
Yes, it was only senior officers that were not present. But all the officers at the headquarters at that time, below Kajali's rank, because he was either a chief inspector, I'm sorry, I cannot fully remember what was his title, but I know he must be either a chief inspector at that time or an inspector. But every other junior officers below his rank did fall in and listen to his briefing.
Proceed, please. At this stage,
yes,
where was the IGP?
I did not know, definitely, because he did not tell us about the IGP, but he never appeared on that parade.
How about the deputy IGP?
He don't.
How about the commissioner for operations?
He don't. It was only Kajalu as a senior officer who was present with the rank of either inspector or chief inspector who briefed the men.
I know you answered that.
Okay.
How about the commander for Banjul division?
No, the commander Banjul station, I've definitely seen him at the back gate connecting the Banjul station and the parade ground standing.
But did not participate in that fall-in?
No, he did not appear before us.
Proceed, please.
And then, after that, the RSM thought that there is a need for us at least to send an intelligent officer to go and survey, because he said there is information that students from Gambia High School may also be demonstrating. So they use somebody I could remember called Sergeant Manga, whose first name I did not know. Sergeant Manga. So Sergeant Manga went as we were standing, and Kajali was still talking. Sergeant Manga came running. And then he started saying in Aku, then they come, then they come. So Kajali turned to him and said, would that they come? He said, policeman no kinde ask. If you see person kinde run unafala.
Policeman no they ask questions. If you see person they run you the falla. Okay. All right. Proceed, please. Well, Horeja just intimated that I should interpret that into English.
I think I can say it, sir.
Please, go ahead.
Okay. He said, they are coming, they are coming. Kajali turned to him and said, who is coming? He said, policeman don't ask. If you see people are running, you just follow.
Okay, and then what happened after that?
So he asked us to report to Banjul police station, inside the police station. The parade ground is just next after the police station. Just to licensing door, if you know where licensing is. That is how we get into the station. So because I was tall in the ranks, very tall in the ranks, and then followed by Cham. This Cham is called Usman Cham. We were all corporals together.
Go ahead.
Okay, because I was so tall, I was the first man to arrive at the police station. There we found Superintendent Sowe who was the officer commanding Banjul Division, standing. Sorry.
Proceed, please.
And then he was with 3 weapons. One was AK-47 and the 2 were Chinese Mark IVs, rifles called Chinese Mark IV. So he gave me 1 Chinese Mark IV plus 5 blank ammunitions.
Commissioner Gay Sowe.
J.
Sowe. Yes, I beg your pardon. Yes. J. Sowe. There is a Gay Sowe.
Yes, I know him.
Yes, and the Gay Sowe is a lawyer.
Okay, I know.
So now we're referring to Commissioner.
No,
Commander J. Sowe. Yes, sir. Okay, what was his position in the force?
He was the commanding officer for Banjul Division.
What would be his role with regards to events that occurred on that day?
Okay, as the officer commanding Banjul Division at that time, he is responsible for all the affairs in Banjul. So
would that include the operation on which you were supposed to embark upon?
True, sir.
So, just as a preliminary, before you go on operations to deal with riots, what should normally happen?
There should be a briefing.
And what should that briefing entail?
Tell us actually what is happening on the ground and how do we go about it on the ground.
And what do you mean? Is there a technical term about the technical term would adequately describes what you just said, how to deal with things on the ground?
Exactly, sir.
What is the technical term in police language?
Okay. It should have been, in which formation are we going to face the mob? What should be our rule of engagement? And then how to disperse the mob.
Essentially, there should be what is known as operational orders.
Exactly.
On that day, were you given operational orders?
None, sir.
Were you briefed as to what to do and how to do it?
No, sir. Okay, if I may come in, the only time he asked us how to do it was when he gave us weapons, rifles for that matter, and then ammunition. That's the time he told us to go out and scare them. That was the only order he gave us.
Who said that?
J. Sowe, Superintendent J. Sowe.
So J. Sowe actually physically issued the weapons? Is
exactly.
That what you say?
Hand in hand.
How did he select the people to whom he issued the weapons?
The way we entered, because as I said earlier on, I was the tallest in the rank, so forced to cough and get into Banjul station. So when I entered and found him standing, there were weapons lying down on the table, and these ammunitions were directly in something like a bag made of cloth. They were in, and then that's the time he will give each of us a weapon and then some blank ammunition.
How many?
5, sir. I was given 5.
So how many policemen were given these weapons?
3.
Just the 3 of you?
Yes, because there were only 3 rifles.
Tell us the names.
I could remember Usman Cham was one of them. Usman Cham, he is now the Commissioner of Finance, Police Commissioner of Finance.
Who else?
And Yorombalo. Yorombalo, his last posting, as I know, was Serekunda as officer commanding. I don't know. For a long time, we did not speak.
And who else?
No, we were 3 in number.
Just the 3 of you?
Exactly, sir.
Yourself, Yorombalo, and Cham?
And Usman Cham.
And Usman Cham?
Yes, sir.
No other person?
No other person from Banjul.
Just the 3 of you?
Just the 3 of us.
Mbalo?
Yes, sir.
Cham?
Yes, sir.
And yourself?
Welcome.
Gorgimbub?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then he gave you your operational instructions.
Yes.
Encapsulated in 3 words or 4 words.
Yes, sir.
Go and scare them.
Go out and scare them.
5 words.
Yes, sir.
Nothing more.
Nothing more than that.
Nothing more than that.
Nothing more than
Those were your only operational
Those.
orders. You were not given a document.
No, sir.
You were not briefed.
No, sir.
And who was to be in charge of your group?
Sorry, I don't know the regimentation. I was a couple. Cham was a couple. Mbala was a first class. So I don't know, me and Cham actually, who is the most senior, because we are not from the same batch. Neither he came from the gendarme, as I know. So I cannot know who was the senior man.
So the 3 of you, you left the place not knowing who was in charge of your small group.
Exactly, sir.
Proceed, please.
And then, when we went out from the Banjul station, on the main highway, we were standing, 3 of us. We saw these students coming. Some of them were in uniforms. Some of them were not in uniform. I believe they must be civilians because some were of old age.
Proceed, I'm listening.
And then, as they turned facing towards the police headquarters, they were all shouting death to the fire service. In Wolof, tey dañoo rey fire officers yëpp. They were coming in a large group. So we all opened fire straight up. It was all of us who opened fire, and then they dispersed. Some of them ran straight heading to Central Bank. Some turned right. Others turned where they came from to the left towards the Duajabi building. And that is how they dispersed.
Yes, proceed.
Okay. Immediately they dispersed. We report back to the parade ground. All of us report back. The entire police headquarters. I mean the people who were there on the briefing, junior officers. All of us went back to the parade ground. And then we were told that we are now going out for patrols. Then we were divided into teams and in different areas, posted to different areas in Banjul. So I was posted together with 1333 Njai. Sorry for Njai, whose full name I cannot remember, whether it was Momodu or Usman, I cannot, but I could remember his regimental number. We used to call him 333 Njai. Me and him, we were posted to Tobacco Route, just around Lai Juf's compound. That is where we were posted. And we were there on our patrol. And then when it was around after 11 coming to 12 o'clock, we decided to go back to the police station on foot.
Which police station?
The main police station, that is the police headquarters, where you have the police station.
In Banjul?
In Banjul.
And that would be Buckle Street, right?
That would be Buckle Street, exactly, sir. Okay. So as we are moving from Tobacco Route, coming towards Box Bar, we decided to get into St. Augustine. Because in those days...
Let's get it straight.
Okay.
From Lai Juf's compound,
yes, sir,
in Tobacco Road, you wanted to get to Buckle Street in Banjul.
Yes.
Right? And you went through St. Augustine's High School.
That's true.
All right, proceed.
Yes. At that time, the fence, the last fence of St. Augustine's was fallen. So we decided to enter St. Augustine, come through the football field, and use the main gate, not knowing that there was riot, or there was confrontation between the PIU and the students at St. Augustine's.
You were deployed to Tobacco Road
Yes.
because a student riot was ongoing.
At the police headquarters.
A student riot was ongoing in Banjul and in the Combos, correct?
Yes, at the police headquarters.
In Banjul.
In Banjul.
There was a student riot happening around the police headquarters in Banjul. And there was also a student riot going on in the Combos.
Yes, sir.
So you decided from Tobacco Road to pass through St. Augustine's in order to go to the police station in Banjul.
Yes, sir.
And in doing this, you did not know that there was also something happening at St. Augustine's by the students.
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
Okay. I would like to explain the reason why we took St. Augustine's.
I see. Okay, proceed.
Okay. Normally, because at the time I live in Banjul and I used to play football in St. Augustine's, the fence was fallen. Sometimes we use it as a shortcut, what we call in all of port, to come through and then go straight, because it is going to be a shortcut. So as we come after the football field of St. Augustine, heading to the main school yard, there is a gate connecting the football field and the main school premises. So when we entered through, we saw children and, or let me say students and the PIU officers having confrontation. So we decided to back off and then run. So as Njai himself, it was Njai himself who told me in Wolof, boy, ñi ñu ngi am problème ak parents yi nañ dellu. So I agreed and we withdrew and then we started going back. So during this course, some of the students, they saw us and then they came running after us. They chased us. So when they chased us, Njai took left and I took right. So Njai jumped into all new police lines and I jumped towards facing Gambia High School, that main road. That is where I jumped. So when I jumped, that's the last time I saw Njai, until back at the police headquarters. So when I jumped, I took a curve towards Boxbar Street, where I found the intervention, meaning the PIU, sending some cells to these boys.
What kind of cells?
Grenade cells. We call it smoke grenade cells. Smoke grenade cells.
Was it tear gas?
Yeah, tear gas. We call it tear gas. But at this time, I can call it cells because the real name for it is tear gas cells. So I went at the back of them and then came after them towards new police line, where you have the mosque now, the main entrance to the mosque. So when I reached there, I saw a boy, because they were throwing stone at me at that time. Because I was alone, I was going, they were throwing stone. Some of them were even calling my name, because people know me to be Go. They call me Go. So at this time, there was a boy called Birkam. I don't know his name. Up to date, I did not ask for his name. He is called Birkama. He took a stone and threw the stone off at me and told me in Wolof, "Yo go suñ la téye dinañ nangam tan sa ndey." Sorry for the language. Excuse me for the language. I just want to make it clear and then he threw the stone at me. To be candid enough, definitely out of anger, I ran after him. So when I ran after him, he entered St. Augustine's High School. And I went straight after him inside St. Augustine High School. So inside St. Augustine High School, before he took a bend, come a man...
Took a bend where?
On the right.
St. Augustine's?
On the right. If I should face St. Augustine. Okay.
Where, through which entrance in
The
St.
main
Augustine's
entrance.
is
The
here?
main entrance.
The main entrance.
Yes, sir.
The main entrance is by the main building facing Box Bar, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly.
So he came through that entrance.
Exactly.
Okay. Where did he turn?
Okay. As I am facing you, he turned on the left.
Did he enter the school building, the entrance to the school, the main building, where the offices are, or he did not?
No, he did not.
So he went left towards the class block. Exactly. That is on the far right.
That is on the far right. So this is where a man in Mufti, who I later identified to be Mr. Sabali because I didn't know him before. That is where he came, and then he was trying to stop me.
So where did that event occur? Is it before you reached the classes, or did it occur in the main schoolyard?
It occurred in the main schoolyard.
So you have chased this guy. He went to the left, you chase after him, and until you arrive at the building on the right-hand side, you must have turned right and then run into the main yard of the school. Towards, yes, the main yard of the school. Towards the basketball court, I would imagine.
No, we did not reach that place. You see, just at the main door, if you enter inside, I think the church, as I am facing, the church must be on the right. Looks like a church, and
yes.
There is another classroom block.
Yes, but as you enter, you are facing a building.
Yes, but there is a ground there.
Yes.
There's a ground. So that is where I met with Sabali.
Okay, proceed.
That is where I met with Sabali.
So it means that, therefore, that you met with Sabali as soon as you were entering the school?
Yes, I just entered, and then he also came to block my way, not to get this boy. And then, when he entered, he tried to stop me, opening his arms.
Proceed.
Okay. Opening his arms, I tried to dive, and then he was like getting me that way. And then I punched him.
You punched him?
Yes, I punched him.
With your fist?
Yes, I do.
Right. And where did you hit him?
I could remember. Sorry, Esa. Sorry, Council. I don't want to tell a lie, because it is about 20 years back. I cannot know exactly as of now where it landed. I can only agree with you that I punched him.
Okay, you punched him, and yes. Then what happened after that?
When I punched him, he withdrew back, and then I took the rifle and then hit him with the rifle. It was not a board stroke. I hit him because...
Can you demonstrate how you hit him with the rifle?
Okay. Let's assume this is a rifle. I hit him that way. Board stroke is this. So I hit him this way.
Where did you hit him? Where did you strike him?
On the sides.
On the side.
Yes.
At this stage, we'll come back to that. And then what happened after that?
And then, when I hit him, he fell. So when he fell, I kicked him. I kicked him multiple times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And then, this is how...
Let's get that. You first punched him.
Yes, I punched him to one.
Yes, but a punch would normally happen on the upper part of the body. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you say so? You can't punch the person on the lower part of the body.
Mr. Council, let me be very, very fair with myself. Definitely the punch where I landed, up to, a punch can land here, it can land here. I can say the truth that I punch him. That is true.
I said the upper part of the body.
Yes, it must be in the upper part of the body, maybe from here to here. That's true.
All right.
That's true.
Okay. After punching him, you struck him with your rifle.
I hit him with my rifle.
Yes,
and then he fell down.
It's the same word. I'm not saying butt struck. I'm saying you struck him with your rifle.
Yes,
you hit him with your rifle.
I do.
All right?
I do.
When you punched him,
yes,
you knew you were doing something unlawful.
That's at that time. Yes, I do.
You knew it was unlawful.
It was unlawful.
you struck him or you hit him with your rifle, you also know that that was unlawful.
True.
At what stage did he fall down?
After hitting him with the rifle.
He fell down.
Yes, sir.
You know Mr. Sabali is a big person.
Yes, sir.
He is almost as big as you at that time.
No, he was bigger than me.
Could you stand up, please?
I am here.
He was bigger than you. He was very big by Gambian standards.
I was not to this size at that time.
I know Mr. Sabali. I also went to St. Augustine's High School. We all know him. He was, in fact, the physical education master. You may be seated. He was also the physical education master at St. Augustine's High School.
Okay.
Wasn't he?
I don't know what his role was at the school.
But he was a very strong and very physical person.
Yes.
So for him to fall down from a knock, it would have to be very heavy. Correct?
Yes. Because I hit him on the side.
It was a heavy blow.
Yes.
You also know that was unlawful.
Exactly.
And he fell down.
Yes, sir.
And when he fell down, you also kicked him multiple times, as
True.
you said.
True.
And each kick was unlawful.
Exactly.
You maltreated him.
At that time, yes.
Proceed, please.
Okay. And then that is where I saw all the students. They were coming in full force, some with stones, and then they started throwing these stones at me. Some of the stones landed on me, some did not. So I ran out of the school premises and went and seek refuge behind the PRU officers. So I decided to walk to the old police line where you have the police clinic at that time.
Proceed.
And then I went to the police clinic and also saw my injury to them because I
Where
was
were you injured?
at the back, at my back here. There were multiple stones that landed on my back as well. And then they gave me some little medicine and I proceeded to the police headquarters and reported my story.
And when you reported your story at the police headquarters, what you had to say needed to be recorded. Wasn't that the case?
Exactly.
Was it recorded?
It wasn't.
Why didn't you ensure that it was recorded?
Lead counsel, at that present time, my role was to report to the RSM because he was the one who sent us for patrol. And that is exactly what I did. I reported to him. I told him what has happened at St. Augustine High School. And then he asked me to surrender my rifle and then report to my office, of which I did. And then we were there on standby. Can I continue?
Please, proceed.
Okay. We were there on standby, and we spent the rest of the day up to the following morning, and then we are like standoff, and then we went home.
So essentially, you did not have your injury recorded by the police?
No, they don't. That's true, they don't.
No, you said earlier that it needed to have been recorded.
It should have been recorded, yes, sir.
You did not make sure it was recorded?
No, I don't.
In fact, this issue of this injury that you sustained, it's just an afterthought intended to shield yourself from explaining this true story about what has happened at St. Augustine's. Isn't that the truth, Mr. Mbub?
No, sir, I've said all the truth.
Okay, let's go back to your story.
Okay.
From Laiju's compound in Tobacco Road to go to the police headquarters, you had no business going through St. Augustine's High School.
That's true.
Yet, you went to St. Augustine's High School. Why did you?
One reason, because one, it was a shortcut, as I said earlier on.
Mr. Witness, it is not a shortcut. It is, in fact, a very long cut. We both know Banjul very well. From Laiju's house in Tobacco Road to go to the police headquarters, you have no business going through St. Augustine's High School. This whole story about going to St. Augustine's High School from Tobacco Road is just one concocted story to try to suggest that you were under attack. But it is false, absolutely false. It's obvious, isn't it? It's false.
No, what I said is true, sir.
That cannot be true, Mr. Witness. In fact, the truth is, you were in the company of the PIU personnel. Isn't that true?
No, sir. I was not part of the PIU, because I was...
Listen to the question.
Okay.
I have a responsibility to be fair to you, Mr. Mboop.
That's true.
Like I have a responsibility to be fair to everybody.
That's true.
My role is to bring out the truth. So this is no witch hunt against anybody. It's just to bring out the truth. Right? And it's only the truth that shall set you free. If you try to play games, Mr. Mboop, it won't work out. You were in the company of the PIU. I'm not suggesting you were part of them. I'm saying you were in the company of the PIU. You decided to attack St. Augustine's High School on your own. This story about having been attacked by the students while you went through the back or the so-called shortcut, it's all a concocted story just to show that you were under attack when you were absolutely under no attack. Why did you choose to lie, Mr. Mboop?
Mr. Lead Counsel, I am on the oath. I see no reason why should I be seated here and lie.
Mr. Mboop, you still have no explanation for all these gaps in your story.
Counsel, I think I told you the reason why I came through St. Augustine High School. One, can I go ahead?
Yes, I'm listening.
One, at that present time, I did not know anybody at St. Augustine High School. It's true, I have no legal cause to be at St. Augustine High School. I did not know Sabali in person. I did not met him before. So, is he telling me to stop? Okay. So, there is no reason for me to have a cause of attacking a school. I was not taught in St. Augustine High School.
Mr. Witness, I think you're just telling us things that do not answer the question.
What was your question, sir?
You told us that you had a reason to go to St. Augustine's High School in the first instance.
Yes.
I told you that that reason is no good reason at all.
I concur with you that it was not a good reason to go, but
in
that
fact,
was the story.
In fact, the reason why you gave us that story is you just want to create a story suggesting that you were under attack when nobody attacked you.
Honorable Counsel, if you may allow me, let me tell you something. I could have easily tell you that I did not go to the back, but I would have lied. You asked me, you told me one thing when we were starting. You said lying to this commission can result to something else. And I choose the truth. So it's my duty to tell you the truth.
Okay, and you think what you have told us is the truth?
Exactly, sir.
Okay, let's proceed. You said you ran away from St. Augustine's High School, correct?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
And you ran away because you were under attack by the students?
Exactly, sir.
And you managed to escape from St. Augustine's High School?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you went and you joined the paras, correct, in the front?
I did not join them.
You converged with the paras at the same location?
No, I did not converge with them.
Okay.
I want to make this straight. When I jumped, I went around towards, what's the name again? Box Bar. It is where I found the PIU.
Yes.
They were standing facing St. Augustine.
Okay.
I went at their back, going, like somebody going towards the old police line.
You were the lone soldier going towards police lines?
Yes, sir.
And that was when you were insulted?
That was when I was insulted.
And this time around, you went back to St. Augustine's from where you were chased away?
That's the truth.
So you went back into the danger?
Yes, sir.
You want us to believe that?
That is what exactly I do.
So you were chased away from St. Augustine's, you sensed danger, you ran away from St. Augustine's.
Yes.
But somebody just insulted your mother, you forgot about all that danger, and you ran back into St. Augustine's.
That's true.
You want us to believe that?
Exactly, that is what I did.
Mr. Book,
yes, sir.
it is hard to believe.
Yeah, I know it's hard to believe, but it's the fact.
The fact of the matter is, there was no going into St. Augustine's High School as a shortcut from Tobacco Road. That never happened. Tell the truth, Mr.
That's
Mbu.
the truth, Mr. Lead Counsel.
It never happened.
That's the truth, Lead Counsel.
Remember, Mr. Mbu, you had given a statement before, didn't you?
I do.
Now let's do it this way. You have given us a new statement, correct?
I do.
Let's take a look at that statement, and I want to put it in evidence. Just allow me briefly. Let me. Mr. Chair, if the witness confirms that that is his new statement, we would ask that it be exhibited and marked Exhibit 84. Thank you.
Exactly.
That's your new statement?
Exactly.
Could you pass it on to the chair, please? And you would also agree, Mr. Mboop, that you had given us a statement before this new one. And in that statement, before you gave that statement, you were warned by the investigators that it is an offense to lie to the TRRC, weren't you?
Exactly.
And in spite of that warning, you lied to the TRRC, didn't you?
I don't. I am telling the truth.
I am saying that in spite of that warning, you gave the investigators a false statement.
I didn't. I omitted some certain things that I rectified.
Mr. Mboop, it was no omission. You gave a false statement to the TRRC, didn't you?
No, it was not a false statement. I omitted some certain things that I include in this new statement.
Okay, let's go through it and see whether it was an omission or whether it was a false account. Just give me a second. Okay. This is the account you gave to the investigators before.
Yes, sir.
And this is paragraph 5, and I will read it out. I was assigned to Tobacco Road area with one officer called 333 Njai, whose first name I cannot remember. The two of us were dropped at Tobacco Road, Tali, Laijuf, around 11:30 a.m. I and Officer Njai entered St. Augustine's High School through the back door with the intention to take a shortcut and arrived at Boxbar Road after patrolling our beat quietly and heading back to the police headquarters. As we entered St. Augustine's from the football field up to the first classroom block, we saw a group of students throwing stones at PIU officers outside Boxbar Road. Officer 33 Njai suggested to me that we should run back and take the other way around for fear of the students attacking us. The moment we turned back, we saw the students running after us with stones. I then opened fire to scare them, but some of them started saying, "Let's go. He's not having real bullets." I opened fire until my rounds were finished, and I started to run to save my life. At this juncture, Officer Njai, who was with me, was nowhere to be seen. When I reached the middle gate linking the football field and the main schoolyard, I found some students blocking the way out to trap me in the middle. I ran straight behind one of the classes and tried to jump over the fence opposite Gambia High School. As I hold the fence to jump, some stones started landing on my body. A man in mufti, later identified as Mr. Sabali, got to one of my legs, right, and starts pulling me down. I got down and hit him. That story is false, isn't it?
It's false.
And this is a story you gave to our investigators, correct?
I do.
And it's an offense to lie to the TRRC.
I did not lie.
This is false.
It's false.
And therefore it's a lie.
I have a reason.
Answer the question. It is false and therefore it's a lie.
I have a reason for it.
Mr. Mboop.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree or do you not agree that this false statement is a lie?
If you say it's a lie, it's a lie.
No, not that I say so. It is because it is a lie.
Counsel, if you may allow me.
Do you agree it is a lie?
Okay, it's a lie.
Thank you very much. You gave a statement to the Commission of Inquiry, didn't you?
I do.
And you gave them a false story.
Yes, that one is a false story.
So you have lied twice about this matter, didn't you?
I can confirm lying once.
And you lied to our investigators.
I did not lie to them. I make an omission of my statement.
What is the omission?
That I was jumping over the fence when Sabali got one of my legs.
But that was a lie, wasn't it a lie?
It was an omission because it is nearly 20 years back. I cannot remember so many things now.
Okay, let's dissect this.
Okay.
Omission means something that you leave out. You agree?
Yes.
But this is something you put in. So that cannot be an omission.
It's like I put the cart before the horse.
No. Danga khorom affaire gi. You lied, didn't you?
Okay, sir.
You agree you lied?
Yes, sir.
So you lied twice.
Yes, sir.
Are we good to proceed? Are we good to proceed? Okay, all right. Can we proceed or you? The cameras are on, they're good. Okay, thank you. So Mr. Mboub,
Yes, sir.
You've been packaging this story. You've been packaging it in a way to accept the violation, but to package it in a way that, you would draw sympathy to yourself to show that you were under attack when you were under no attack at all. And that is why you cannot explain why you had to run away from St. Augustine's because of fear, but had to run back into St. Augustine's because somebody said something you didn't like. It doesn't add up. That was a lie.
Council, the issue of coming to St. Augustine from the back is the whole truth. And then the issue of getting into St. Augustine as a result of chasing Birkama is the whole truth. I agree with you that jumping over the fence and somebody got into my legs was not true. And I decided to tell you the whole truth.
Yes, and in addition to that, your first story to the Commission of Inquiry that you were nowhere around there was also false.
It was cooked.
It was cooked up.
Yes, sir.
That's true. So you have lied twice about this subject.
The first one, as I said, it was not intentional.
It was accidental. You lied accidentally.
No, it was not accidentally.
Okay, so what was it? It was not accidental, it was not intentional. What was it?
Honorable Council, there are things that we call mistakes. Of course I made a mistake. I rectified myself.
So you want to tell me that when you testified under oath before the truth...
Okay, sorry. I'm referring to the...
before
this
the commission.
One. No. I thought you were saying this last one.
So this last one, you want to tell us it was a mistake?
I made a mistake.
So you did not know that Sabali did not hold onto your feet as you were jumping over the fence at St. Augustine's?
True.
You did not know that?
I know he did not.
So how was it a mistake?
I made a mistake.
You regretted doing it, or was it a mistake that you said it?
I regretted doing it.
Thank you very much. So what I want to do now is to remove all the lies from your evidence so that we'd be left with only the truth.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yes.
And let's do it simply. All right?
Okay.
When you attacked St. Augustine's High School, you were under no attack at all.
No, sir, that one I was under attack. That one I was under attack.
So when you chased
Yes, sir.
Birkama
Yes, sir.
into St. Augustine's High School, you were under attack.
I was not under attack.
Precisely. This is the question I asked. That when you entered St. Augustine's High School, when you attacked the place, you were under no attack. There was no threat to you.
From the first time, you mean? From the first time I was coming from the back?
The story about coming from the back, do you still maintain that as true?
Honorable Council, that was the truth. And I said I am on the oath.
So at the back, when you entered, you tell us that you were being pelted with stones.
Exactly.
And you felt so much fear that you had to run away.
That's true.
And at that time, you were 2 officers with guns.
No. I was with a gun. 2 officers with 1 gun. I was with a gun.
Njai didn't have a gun.
No. I was the senior man. Njai was a junior man. I was handling the gun.
Okay. So the 2 of you,
yes, sir,
you decided to run away because out of fear.
Exactly.
And you alone decided to go back in.
Yes, sir.
And this time round, the fear has disappeared.
Yes, because of something, sir.
Just because the person insulted your mother.
Exactly.
And all the fear evaporated.
Exactly.
You want us to believe that?
Yes, somebody insulted my mother, which should not have happened.
Okay. Let's hear the story of the officials from St. Augustine's High School. They have a completely different take about what has happened.
Okay.
And in fact, do you know that the PIU officers said that they were with you?
I was not with them.
Okay, let me read it out from the statement.
Okay.
Inspector Dabo. Do you know him?
I know him.
Mr. Chair, I am reading from Exhibit 83. That is the report of the Commission of Inquiry. And on page 5, it says as follows. That Inspector Dabo mentioned the names of the security officers with him at the time they entered St. Augustine Secondary School, after initially asserting that he did not know their names. So he changed his false story. And then he went on to say, the names of the men who accompanied Inspector Dabo were Constable Maud Lamin Fati, Constable Abdullah Ba, First Class Constable Adama Seidi, First Class Constable Modu Cham, Constable Modu Gajaga, and Corporal Gorgi Mbub. That's what he said. And he said so. How many years ago? 19 years ago. Was he lying?
He was lying.
Okay. But it so happens that you were there, Mr. Mbub. And the interesting thing is, Mr. Mbub, he said that when you denied to the commission that you were not there. Let me read out what you said to the commission. I read the paragraph before that on page 5. This is what you said to the commission. Police officer Gorgi Mbub also testified before the commission, and he said he had excuse duty on 10th, but was on standby. He was on his way to the polyclinic in Banjul. He walked near the St. Augustine Senior Secondary School and saw some PIU officers, among whom he could only recognize Inspector Dabo. As the students inside the school were stoning the security officers and booing at them, he asked them to withdraw from the area. Inspector Dabo was unable to talk to him because of the commotion. He then set off for the polyclinic and later spent the whole evening and night at the station in Banjul, still on standby. He denied entering St. Augustine Senior Secondary School alone or with the PIU security officers, and also denied assaulting Mr. Sabali or anyone else, and certainly denied holding a gun or firing one. The other officers also denied holding any guns or firing any at St. Augustine Senior Secondary School. This is what you told the commission? True?
Yes, sir, that is what I told the commission.
And it was a concocted story.
Exactly.
It was a lie.
Exactly, it was a lie.
So you lied to the commission that you were not even there.
I do.
But it turned out, it emerged that the truth is that you were there.
I was there, and I told you people here that I was there.
Yes, and Inspector Dabo told the commission 19 years ago that he was there with you. You guys entered St. Augustine's High School together.
Dabo is not telling you people the truth.
So when Dabo chose to speak the truth about himself that he was there, and to also tell the truth that you were there. You now sitting here, having lied to the commission then, to tell us that Dabo was lying? You want us to believe you?
Yes, if you may allow me to explain.
Please do.
In the beginning, I told you I have never been a PIU officer, so I cannot be part of them. One.
Dabo never said you were a PIU officer.
He
said he went there with a police officer, Corporal Gorgimbub.
No. Dabo did not go together with me. Of course, he saw me there. That's the truth. He saw me there, but we were not together. Because they were fighting in a riot mob shape, I was not in their midst. And secondly, Honorable Council, the question of the false story that I gave to the commission then, I agreed with you and told you that it was a false story. And
the agreement with me that it was a false story or not is neither here nor there. The important thing is you lied to the commission.
I lied to the commission
19 years ago. You lied about your whereabouts 19 years ago. Dabo told the truth about where you were. Now you're saying that Dabo is lying.
Dabo did not.
Or was lying.
Dabo did not tell you people the truth of where I was. I want to make this
okay, let me read it out again. Dabo said he entered St. Augustine's High School with some security officers. At first, he lied, like everybody else. All of you lied. He lied, he said he wasn't there. He didn't carry any gun. He did not enter St. Augustine's. But later, he changed his story, like if you have just done. You lied and you changed your story. So this time when he changed his story, he said he entered St. Augustine's together with PIU officers. He mentioned them.
PIU officers?
Yes, he mentioned them. Yes. And then he said, and Corporal Gorgimbub. He said he entered there with you. You saying that you were there, he was there, but he did not enter with you?
What I am saying here, entering St. Augustine is the truth. That is the whole truth. We all entered to St. Augustine, but we did not enter together. This is what I am trying to tell you.
So you were on your own operation and they were on their own operations?
Thank you. I was on a return patrol. They were fighting a mob. I entered St. Augustine as a result of chasing Birkama, but I did not go with Dabo together. Maybe he entered at a different time, but not together with me.
He did not say that.
Me may be lying.
Okay.
As I equally did before.
So you want us to believe you now that Dabo was lying 19 years ago when Dabo implicated you as somebody who entered St. Augustine?
Together entering St. Augustine.
Yes.
That one is a lie. What he actually did, I don't know. But entering together with me, that one is a lie.
Okay. Let's listen to what was told the commission by those at the school.
Yes, sir.
According to Reverend, Mr. Chair, I'm reading from page 3. According to Reverend David Jaju, Vice Principal of St. Augustine's, he was standing near the gate of the school, not far from the road, when one of the PIU, Inspector Dabo, approached the fence and started telling students who were up in the corridor of one of the buildings to go away and into their classes. Father Jaju told him that if he wanted to talk to the students, he should do so through him. The students did not leave the area. After a short while, one of the officers who was with Inspector Jaju jumped the fence of King Fahad Mosque, which is just opposite the school, and launched a gas canister. The launch was abortive, according to Reverend Jaju, and the students up in the corridor of the school building started jeering at and taunting the officer, whereupon PIU officers and one police officer who was with them, and later identified as Gorgimbub, got angry and told Father Jaju that since the students has refused to go into their classes, they would get them out. The group of security officers forced their way through the gates of the school and into the school grounds where the students started running helter-skelter. This was the story of the vice principal of the school 19 years ago. You telling us he was lying?
For one thing that I know is that I was not part of the PIU riot platoon.
He never said that.
No,
he
no.
said, just a moment.
Okay.
He said the PIU and one police officer, Gorgimbub.
Yes. Maybe that's the way he would mention it. But one thing I want you to know is, I did not go together with the PIU inside the school. We did not go together. That is
not what the father said. The father said all of you went together. You were angry with what the students have said.
No.
And you decided to, in fact, you told Father Jaju that since the students had refused to go into their classes, you guys are going to get them out. And you went into the school and chased them.
Honorable Counsel, I'm sorry. How would you think there was a riot, people run into the school and I run to get them out? I cannot do such a thing.
You now want us to believe that the students chased you out, but you chased them back in.
No, I did not chase the student in.
You chased Birkama?
Yeah, chased Birkama, that's true.
Yes, and you went back into the school.
I went back into the school.
You see, what is difficult to accept is when they chased you out, you were so afraid that you had to run out.
Yes.
But just suddenly you became so emboldened and so brave that you had to go in. How can any...
Because he insulted my mother.
You want us to believe that?
But that's the whole fact.
So suddenly you became, I wouldn't call it Rambo, but the thing is, the fear couldn't have dissipated. Just vamoosed like that.
Yes, because there is a cause.
The truth, Mr. Mboop, is that you stood there and had a conversation with the school principal, vice principal, Father Jaju.
No, sir.
And he identified you as a police officer with whom he had a conversation. He's lying. Is he lying?
No, let me come, Counsel. I cannot just say he is lying, but I have to make a point as well. Honorable Counsel, I cannot remember anywhere I stood and talked to Father Jaju. I did not.
Okay. So you were just passing by. According to you, you were just passing by when some random student just identified you as, you know, that passerby. He just called you. Oh, go. Suñ la jappé dinañ nangam tan sa ndey. You know, when, you know, the PIU officers who were standing there, having a standoff with the students, were ignored completely. But you, the passerby who was going, minding your own business, you were drawn into the matter and you had to chase this kid or this person into St. Augustine's from where you were chased out. You want us to believe that story? It's unreasonable, Mr. Mboop.
Honorable Counsel, all what I said here is the truth. What was in the mind of the students and their cause, I don't know. I can only tell you my reasons and true reasons of going into St. Augustine High Schools, and that was the reason I went into St. Augustine High School.
But you have also accepted that that was a completely wrong route to take.
I do so from the initial.
From Juve's house in Tobacco Road, you probably did not think that we know the geography this well, but from Juve's house in Tobacco Road to go to police headquarters, you had no business going through St. Augustine's. You were in St. Augustine's as part of that group that was there to quell whatever you thought was happening there?
Honorable Counsel, even records can tell you that I have never been regimented part of the PIU at that present time.
Nobody said you were part of the PIU.
But you said I went there together with them.
Going there together with them did not mean, or does not mean, that you were a member of their group.
I was not inside the St. Augustine High School together with the PIU.
In fact, the evidence before the other commission is that Sabali was not only hit or beaten by you alone.
No, sir. That one I can attest that it was a false statement. That it was only Sabali I have an encounter with.
You may have only had an encounter with Sabali, but you were not the only person who beat him.
It can be possible other people may beat him, but not in my presence. And it was not. They are not with me. I can say of my own.
Do you think that Mr. Sabali would not know that he was beaten by one or more people?
Of course, Sabali would know how many people have assaulted him.
Okay, let me read out what Sabali had to say.
Yes, sir.
And they said, according to Mr. Usman Sabali, PE master in the school, he was in the office at the time. When he saw the students running, he got out of the office and walked towards the security officers and spoke to them. He told them that they did not have a right to enter the school, whereupon the security officers assaulted him with their batons and shields, causing him to sustain injuries on the side of his forehead and elsewhere. Sabali did not say, I was assaulted here by Gorgimbub, and I went there and I was assaulted by somebody else. He said, no. When he confronted you, you guys converged upon him.
No. At least I should be bold enough to tell you, the truth. Honorable Counsel, when I entered the school, I can now recall some of the stories you said, Sabali said, some of it was between me and him. He was trying to stop me to tell me, I could remember that, you have no right to be in the school.
That is what he said here.
That one was true. But I was not together with the PIU. When the assault happened, I am not going to shift blame to anybody. I should be bold enough to tell this commission the truth of what I have done. Hadn't been that it was in company with the PIU, I will tell you plain out that it was me and the PIU who jointly assaulted Sabali. But for my case, it was only me who knocked Sabali, who hit Sabali with my weapon, who kicked Sabali multiple times. This was the truth.
Mr. Mbub, you are trying to run away from the PIU. You don't want that association with the PIU, because by showing that association with the PIU, it makes your story looks false. You don't want that to happen, do you?
No, sir. Mr. Counsel, I think even making a story telling you that with the PIU, I think it's more clear to me than telling you that I was alone. I have now accepted responsibility that I was alone and went to the school alone. I could have easily tell you that I was with the PIU and this was the reason why we entered the school, but I said no, I was not with them.
All right, Mr. Mbub, let's proceed.
Okay, sir.
Let's proceed. The commission would have all the elements to determine whether you are speaking the truth about some elements of your story or whether you are lying.
Okay, sir.
We accept that you have accepted responsibility, that you have assaulted Mr. Sabali.
That's true.
That is a fact.
That's a fact.
But that's not your only transgression.
And what, sir?
What else did you do at the school?
Nothing else apart from that.
Did you fire your weapon at the school?
Before I assaulted Sabali, that was at the back. That was at the back.
How about after assaulting Sabali?
No,
did you fire your weapon at the school?
That one I don't.
But you realize that the people at St. Augustine's High School, they recognized you. In fact, you were so easily recognizable. You were one of the tallest.
Welcome, sir.
So the people at St. Augustine's recognized you?
They do. I said they called me
Father
by my name.
Jaju recognized you. Usman Sabali recognized you. And the witnesses who testified before the Commission of Inquiry, they recognized you, didn't they?
Yes, there are students who recognize me because I was living alongside others.
Okay. So let me read out to you what else was said about you.
Go ahead, sir.
They said 2 security officers, including Gorgimboub, who was on general duty.
On general duty, yes, sir.
He knelt in front of the school hall and aimed their guns at the hall and Father Murphy's house. They fired shots, some of which broke the glass of the hall door and injured 3 students, namely Baboucarr Jagana, Omar Sowe, and Ibrahim Adabo, who were later taken to RVH by Father Jaju. 2 of the students were admitted and 1 of them treated and later discharged.
That was not true.
So 19 years ago, of all the police officers who were there, they chose to lie only about you or against you.
All the police officers, you mean, choose to lie against me?
No, I am saying that the officers and students of St. Augustine's High School, yes, they chose you, yes, as the person they would lie about.
I don't know what is in their mind, but I am.
But do you think that you are so sufficiently important to Father Jaju for him to come and lie against you 19 years ago?
I cannot say his mind. Whether to him I was important or of less important.
No, Mr. Mbub, the truth of the matter is, you are lying about this because you want to minimize your responsibility.
Honorable Counsel, I am not lying. If I had done so, I see no reason why I would have seated here and tell you people lie.
Okay. All right. We have seen some of the other lies that you have made. Let's proceed. In fact, let me take you to the findings of the commission.
Okay.
Nobody believed your story.
Okay.
Are you surprised by that?
Yes, I am surprised.
You are surprised that nobody in that commission believed your story?
Yes, I am surprised, sir.
Why are you surprised?
I will let you know if you read out what the commission report is, because I myself asked Gorgimboub, since that has happened up to date, I don't know what are the commission findings.
Yet you are surprised by their findings. How is that possible?
You say whether I am surprised by the finding of the commissions.
Yes. You said yes, you are surprised. Why were you surprised?
No, what I mean here is, I did not know what was the finding of the commission because I have never seen the document myself. I have never heard it anywhere. It has happened that there was a commission findings. But one thing I want to make clear here is, even during the time of the commissions, I appeared in the commission twice. And I did not finish my testimony. The day I should go back to the commission, I believe that was the day the commission was called off, because I reported to the Chief Justice Office, who was, I think, Justice Felix Latte, I think, something like that. I reported to his office when I was informed that today there is no sitting.
Yes, but let me read out to you some of the commission findings.
Okay.
They said, this is page 23 of the report, Mr. Chair. The security officers, led by Inspector Dabo, including Corporal Gorgimboub, unlawfully entered the school premises and trespassed there criminally. Do you agree?
I entered and trespassed.
Do you agree with that?
That I entered and trespassed?
Yes. You agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
Do you deny that security officers led by Inspector Dabo also entered the school unlawfully?
I was not there when they did so because I found them on the road.
So you now want to tell us that your activity was completely separate from that of Inspector Dabo?
Yes, sir. I was in a blue uniform. We were not together. I was not posted there from the headquarters. As you are saying, like I was part of the headquarters just went to reinforce the PIU. No, that was not the case. I would have easily tell you that from the headquarters we were asked to go and reinforce the PIU. But no, I was on patrol. So
no, you cannot say that because you want to make us believe that, you know, from your beat you went through the back, and at the back you were threatened and you were assaulted. As a result of that, you ran away. You want that story to stick. That's the problem.
Honorable Counsel, I am not seeing any implication that I have done, anything that I have done when I went to the back, except when they shouted at us. We ran in different directions. He jumped this way, I jumped the other way. That one I can understand. And there is no force after me to say that I went to the back. I could have easily tell you that I did not, I came to the front, starting my issue with the front. But I chose to tell the truth and said I went to the back.
Okay, let's just focus on...
And I think...
Let's focus on the findings.
Oh, okay.
You agree that you unlawfully entered St. Augustine's High School?
I did so.
Okay. And they also found that you participated in unlawful assault of Usman Sabali.
That's true.
And the evidence before that commission is, in fact, that he was hit with your seals and batons and gun butts.
I was not with a seal, neither a baton. I was just with a gun.
You see, who was with a seal and who was with a baton?
The PIU.
And if Sabali was hit by seals and batons, who would that be? Who would have done the hitting and who would have done the hitting?
The PIU.
Exactly. And this is what the commission found. But you want us to believe that the PIU did not join in the beating?
No, sir. I never said so. I made it clear that when I was assaulting Sabali, I was alone. Maybe it's true, they assaulted him, but it was not like jointly me and them together assaulting him. No.
He must have been very unfortunate to have been assaulted here by you and then he moved somewhere else and be assaulted by the other group.
It can be possible. Me, I just know of what I did. What they did, it doesn't find me there.
So it was not a joint operation. You and them, you had nothing together. No, nothing bound you together.
No.
Nothing joined you together.
No. Our operations were not coordinated together.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, the commission found that this was a collaborative effort. You and them. You deny that as a lie.
The commission find it?
Yes. You think...
No, I was not together with them.
Okay, all right. Then the commission also found that security officers, including Gorgimboop, shot and damaged the door of the school hall, breaking the glass, which injured 3 students. You also deny that?
Yes, sir, I deny that.
And they went on to say that although Inspector Dabo and Gorgimboop both denied carrying guns, and Gorgimboop denied being present at the scene, from the totality of the evidence, including the spent bullet that was found at the school.
Including, sir?
The spent bullet that was found at the school. They have no doubt that the group as a whole should be punished for their actions. That's what the commission found. They had no doubt that you and Inspector Dabo's group should be punished for what you did. Do you also dispute that?
I know of my responsibility that day. That was the recommendation of the commission. I am responsible for going into St. Augustine's without any permission or without any reasonable cause.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Mr. Mbu. You are the only officer to enter St. Augustine's High School that day, as far as you know.
Yes. As far as I know. I am not saying that nobody entered, but as far as I know, I entered St. Augustine's. That's true. For the side of the PIU, I don't know. I will tell you about...
So you want to tell us that you don't know that the PIU entered St. Augustine's on that day?
Because I was not there. I was not there. So I did not know whether they enter out, because I found them outside. The time they were entering, I was not there. They could have entered, but not to my presence.
That is not the story of Inspector Dabo.
No, I told you here, Inspector Dabo may be taking a cover-up. I'm sorry, I will not say a lie, because he's a superior to me, and then in service we dare not to. I'm sorry if I said so, but that's a cover-up story.
Isn't it the case that the entire police force went to that commission of inquiry to give a cover story?
The entire police force?
All the police officers who testified before that commission went to give a false story, a cover-up.
Honorable Counsel, I will only tell you about I will tell you of my case.
Okay, let's talk about your case.
Yes.
Were you told to give a false story?
Yes, that's true.
Tell us about it.
Okay, thank you. I could remember one day, I don't remember the date, but it was in the early afternoon. One cadet, he absconded, Cadet Mane, one Cadet Mane, who was attached to the commission, came to my office and then handed over me a subpoena to attend the commissions. So when I got it, I went to my officer commanding, who was Mamanding Kale. He is now in the United States. And then I discussed the document with him. And then I told him plain out that I was not having a gun on my own at home. I was given a gun by Sowe. And then I was assigned to go on patrol leading to my entering into St. Augustine High School by RSM Kajali Jaju. So I know this doesn't do well with him. He called the RSM, that was Kajali Jaju, and then told RSM what I said. And then he asked Kajali to call me to narrate a story. So when I went to Kajali's office, he said, you know, he was not like, I want to say the way he said, he was not literated. And then he started telling me, "Nko ibita commission oto, ye paper deal lele. Ni tata, kana moto foje. Ifang bondi, ye mol bondi." I will say it in English if you allow me. Okay, he said, like, you said you are going to the commission as you are given a subpoena to go and testify. But if you go there, do not mention anybody's name. You try to pull yourself out. So it was row between me and him. So I told him no, because I do not have a gun at home. I did not supply myself a gun. And I was acting on orders. So if you tell me that, you mean you are putting me into trouble and you are putting yourself out. Then he shouted at me and said, what I said, just do it. Sorry, I'm sorry. He beat the table and said, what I said, just do it. So that doesn't go well with me. I decided to vacate and then went to my office. So before the date, it was just like a talk between we and the junior officers among ourselves. That some of them are telling me, don't do it. If you go, mention the truth. Some of them are telling me, you may be witch hunt. So all of a sudden, before I went to the commission, I understand a day before I went to the commissions, I was called to the IGP's office. Sorry, astaghfirullah. I was called to the DIG's office, who was Sankung Baji. They sent somebody to call me to answer to the IGP, to the DIGP, and then I went to his office, and I found Sowe, and he, Kajali Jaju, waiting for me. So when I entered the office, the DIG, Sankung Baji, said, "Mbub, you are to report to the commissions tomorrow." I said, yes. He said, what is going to be your testimony? I said, sir, I will start it from when we fall in to when I report back to the headquarters. He said, what? Okay, tell me, what is that? So I started narrating, as I narrate here, the true story of what has happened. He said, you are mad. If you go to the commission and then you mention anybody's name, you are in trouble. Go there and try to fabricate a story. Honorable Counsel, I am telling you the whole fact. Go and fabricate a story, but do not mention anybody's name. So, Sowe was there, he was there, and this was the Deputy Inspector General of Police. So if I would have mentioned their names, it would be of detriment to me. Maybe I will not be sitting here today to give you evidence of the truth. The commission chair will not know what is the truth today.
And what did you do as a result of those directions from the DIG?
Yeah, this is what I want to say,
or
sir.
DIDG?
Sankung Baji, I think he was the DIG, yes, sir. If I am right, he was the DIG. And then when I went back to my office, I just packed my things and asked my inspector to give me leave, who was my station officer, Ibrahim Drame. And then he says, what happened? I said, sir, I'm supposed to go to the commission tomorrow, and then these people are trying to intimidate me. He said, okay, you take God and go. So I went home. So when I went home, I took a draft, a paper, and then draft. I started drafting. If I am right, that late afternoon, till at 12 o'clock, I cannot figure out a correct story. I cannot figure out a correct story. So that's the reason at the end, I come up with the sense that let me just say that I was going to the clinic. Maybe that will look at least somehow a cover-up. And that is how I went to the commission. Even if you ask me today, if you don't read it, I will not know what I said because it was not the truth. I forgot it. It was a make-up story. So I forgot it, definitely forgot it. So that is how I make up that story and then went to the commission. So during the commission, I could remember Sabali, I could remember Father Jaju, because they were asked whether Gurgimbu, can you identify Gurgimbu here in this commission? They said yes. They were asked to come and touch me, and then they touched me. And I went to the commissions only 2 times. So that's the whole fact.
Essentially, as a result of what you were told by your superiors at the Gambia Police Force headquarters, you gave a false story to the commission.
True.
Would you say that the police force intended to mislead the commission of inquiry into error about the responsibilities of the police in those events of April 10, 11, 2000?
Very well.
What do you have to say to Mr. Usman Sabali, whom you badly assaulted?
Thank you very much, Honorable Counsel. I have once did, and I will do it again. I could remember sometimes 2010, together we were training in the gym. I don't know whether at that time he recognized me or he doesn't. I found him trained in one of the aisles. I met him, and then I shook hands together with him. I said, do you remember me? He said, no. I said, I am Gurgimbub, and then he smiles. I said, Mr. Sabali, I'm sorry for what has happened. He just nodded his hand and said, okay. No, sorry, he said, it's okay. And then he continued training. I was with a friend, and then I started explaining these things to the friend. And I think he was even hearing me. I was telling him that this was Mr. Sabali I assaulted, but I'm trying to apologize to him. He said, it's better like that. But notwithstanding, I will definitely be seated here and say to Mr. Sabali, I'm sorry for what has happened. It has happened, I did it because of anger. And I wish to also extend my apologies, not only to Sabali, but his entire family, of what I have done to Mr. Sabali, and the entire staff and the people of St. Augustine High School.
Would you ask members of the police force, especially your superiors, to come out clean about what has happened and stop lying about it 19 years after these events, terrible events have happened?
Counsel, let me begin with the present echelon of the Gambia Police Force. When the day you called me and spoke to me in your office, I went straight to the office of the IGP, the present IGP, Alhaji Mamujo. I went to his office. I said I was called by Council Fall about this.
By the TRRC?
No.
Not Council Fall?
No, I have to tell the truth. What I told him is what I am going to say.
Well, you are wrong. You were not called by Council Fall. You were called by the TRRC.
If you can remember, you called me, boss.
You were called by the TRRC.
Okay, I told the IGP that I was called today at the TRRC in Council Fall's office to at least talk about this issue of April 10 and 11. And then Council Fall asked me to tell him nothing but the truth, because the truth will set me free. And then he responded, Gorgi, you are a commissioner today. In those days, you are a corporal. You should be bold enough to stand before everybody in this Gambia and tell the truth. And then he even told me, look at Sana Sabali, who has committed a series of things, have gone to the commission and told them what exactly he did. And this make him to be a proud man today. Why not you and go and tell them the truth? So I will urge every officer of the Gambia Police Force who took part in the April 10 and 11 events, not only the police, but even soldiers and any other person to come forward and say what is the truth. Because I believe that truth shall set us free.
No further questions, Mr. Chair. Your witness.
Thank you, Counsel, and thank you, Mr. Mboob. Before I turn to the commissioners, if you can just clarify one small point you made in your testimony. You had said that when you were told by your colleagues that you shouldn't name names, they said to you, don't do it. If you do it, they would witch hunt you. What does that mean?
I know at that present time, if I should have come to the commission and call anyone's name before I reach the headquarters back, I will find my dismissal letter waiting for me. That is obvious. That is obvious. That is the truth. So hence they are sitting at that senior capacity and ask me not to mention their names. I have no choice, no alternative, because I was very vulnerable. There was no help around me, so I could have only made a fake story and presented before the commissions.
But to be fired is not to be witch hunt, as you put it.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor.
Mr. Mboob, I recollect from your statement that when you first went through the Bagway and you were chased and you jumped around Gambia High School, you said you went to seek refuge or protection from the PIU.
Yes, sir.
Meaning you made the PIU the seal between you and the school or the student.
Yes, sir.
I wonder, and you said probably that it was by then that this Brikama insulted you. Can you show me the scenario how you penetrated the PIU block, got into St. Augustine's to deal with this guy, and the PIU did not interfere, no one interfered in any way until you succeeded in all what you did around there? That's one. And two, the allegation is you were with the PIU, you say no. Maybe they were still standing put. How did you maneuver to go out and escape any other challenges around the school? And you were there, the PIU were. Can you give me?
Okay, sir. Thank you. What actually happened is when I jumped back and then went to Boxbar Road, the PIU were standing directly opposite the St. Augustine gate. Directly opposite, they were standing.
Exactly.
So I went to their back because they were with shields and batons and their, their smoke launchers.
To seek refuge, you said?
Yes, so I went at the back.
Okay.
So when I went at the back, as they were confronting these students, I decided to go to the old police lines. So as I left the PIU, that's the type, some of these boys, many of them, they know me. Because I used to play football, many of them, they know me. And then they started saying, yo, go, how many lost? And then they started throwing stone. Then Birkama, who was not in uniform, he was not a student because I know him. I know he was not a student. This is how Birkama came. And then his pockets were full of stones. And then he took out a stone and then sent it to me and then insulted my mother. I ran after them. The PIUs were just like here. I was there, and then I ran this way inside St. Augustine High School. You
circumvented?
Yes, I circumvented and ran into St. Augustine High School. That is what has happened.
And dealt with, couldn't get Birkama.
Yes, couldn't get Birkama. And then Sabali trying to stop me, telling me that you have no right to chase somebody inside St. Augustine High School. And that's where I punched him.
At the gate?
No, it was inside. Not at the gate, outside. I have already entered.
That's where you inflicted all the actions you did on him.
Exactly, sir.
And without any challenge or whatever, you came out again.
No, when I was doing this, as I explained, when Sabali was down, some of these students started running towards me with stones, and I ran outside and then went straight to Old Police Line.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mbub. Your testimony really raises critical questions about safety in schools. Schools are supposed to be safe havens for students. You ran into the school, and by your own testimony, Mr. Sabali did not approach you in a menacing manner. On the contrary, by your demonstration, his action was simply preventive or even protective. Was your vicious attack on him warranted?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And I said it here before that I regretted all my actions. And then, I regretted all my actions. And if yesterday was today, I would not have done that. Definitely what I have did to Sabali, or mere stopping me not to get to somebody I was chasing, should not have warranted me to assault Sabali. If that does answer your question, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carr, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question, and it's related to the Never Again campaign. As you said, these events happened many years ago. I'd want to know what you think the police can learn from that incident, and personally, what have you learned from that? And that is in relation to the Commission's Never Again campaign.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner. It was a lesson for every security officer. Not only the April 10 incident, but the past 22 years has been a lesson for every police officer. I was a victim of circumstances. Maybe one day I will back into this commission to testify again. But I am urging every police officer to learn from the past 22 years. A lot of things has happened in this Gambia, and today many of us are sitting down testifying. As I'm speaking to you, my children they do not go to school. And they're well educated, they're sitting before their mother. And last night, their mother told me, go. So they may please, go please, I beg you in the name of the Most High God. If you go, just say the truth. And then every police officer, I think of recent, we are trying to capacitize the entire Gambia police force in how to call it again, in mob fighting and in other areas as well. And this includes riot. So I am sending this information to every police officer that we have a boundary where we should stop. And this has taught us to be more mindful, not to be taking unlawful instructions. So, on that note, this is a message to the Gambia Police Force, for officers who are at the top, to also, this is from giving wrong directives to their subordinates. I know that is not happening now, but the juniors too, to be mindful in what they are doing.
Thank you for answering my question. As the head of anti-crime, would you say what has happened several years ago influences what you do at the anti-crime?
No, it doesn't. I said here before to one of the commission's answers, I said, if yesterday was today, I would not have done that. And yesterday doesn't have anything to do with the anti-crime unit, because I told you, I've learned a great lesson. And who knows what next? So I have to be very careful with the anti-crime department.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Imam Jallow, followed by Commissioner Jones.
Mr. Mboub?
Yes,
I'm very much touched by your mother's statement that go to this place and speak the truth only. But you have been caught twice in this commission admitting lying. Are you doing this to mislead this commission, or are you doing it simply to save your neck? Thank you.
Council, I think I have said that the previous testimony that I give to the Force Commission was a lie, but it was a make-up story and it was out of intimidation. And then I saw remorse and say, I'm sorry for misleading the commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Mboub, you told the Commission that 19 years ago you gave false evidence or false testimony at the Commission of Inquiry that was set up then. How did it sit with your conscience, knowing that you denied several students as well as their families the justice that they deserved? How did it sit with your conscience?
Once again, I would like to say I did it out of a will, because there was something after me more powerful than I do. Because here we are today in a new dispensation, and all of us knows what democracy is. Yesterday, it was not democratic. Definitely, I've caused pain to Sabally. That was true, and I said it should not have happened, but it had happened that way, and I said, I am sorry, and ready to even go and meet him personally again to say, Mr. Sabally, I'm sorry for what has happened.
This is more out of concern. As a security official, you said some of the vicious attacks that you meted out on Sabally was as a result of you being angry because people insulted your mother. Do you have any anger management classes for security officials within the police or other security outfits?
Yes, I do, because I sat with my humble self, and let me tell you that I have a very good wife. I have a very good wife who always stood by me to always tell me the truth. And then I would say she's the one who molded me up.
Thank you very much. Oh, you do? Please go ahead.
I'm happy to hear that you have a very supportive wife, Mr. Mbub. My final question, given your involvement and participation, because you have mentioned earlier that you know better. Now that you do know better, what advice would you have for security officials, especially pertaining to their relationship with civilians?
Thank you. Sorry. As I said before, I am advising every security officer to be very mindful. And it's our duty to protect people and not to cause pain to people. It's also our duty to make sure that people live very safe and in freedom. I am advising everybody not to take the law into their own hands.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner John. Commissioner Bojang, you have the floor.
Mr. Mbub, the damages happened during your operation at St. Augustine High School. Did you know whether the government have compensated them?
No. As I know, I did not hear anything about compensation. Because to my own thinking, even the April 10 the commissions was not finished. I think it was halted. It was halted by an executive directives. So I did not know I did not know anyone who was compensated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Imam C, you have the floor.
How are you, Gorgui Mbub? The 2 lies you made to the first commission, did you swear at that time?
No, Imam, man bima dem si commission bi bima xamé né suma démé si commission bi lima wax nekutun dega. Nangu monoti alquran.
When I knew that what I was going to say at the commission was not going to be the truth, I did not hold the Quran, I only affirmed. First, you did not swear. No, I did not accept to hold the Quran. But on this occasion, did you swear? Yes, I swear. And this time you lied, and you accepted that you have lied. Yes, I have lied and I have accepted.
Mr. Chair, perhaps I need to explain this. The affirmation and the oath holding the Quran are all the same under the law. It is the failure to give a truthful account when you have undertaken to give a truthful account. So if there is a difference, it's perhaps between you and God. But for between you and us, an affirmation and an oath are both the same.
Council Fall, if you may allow me, the reason why I said so is, it's more serious than if you hold the word of God and start lying.
That is between you and God.
Yes,
but between you and us, between you and us,
yes,
between you and the state, between you and I as people, it is all the same.
Thank you, Council.
You have undertaken to speak the truth and you lie.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, Mr. Mbub, if you have any closing remarks to make, please proceed to do so.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. I have just few closing remarks to make. Mr. Chairman, sorry. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, legal practitioners, the press, and members of the public. First of all, I want to foremost and wish to apologize to Mr. Sabali and his entire family for what has happened on April 10 that I have mitigated on him. It should not have been done, but definitely I have to apologize.
I say sorry from the bottom of my heart. And to all the students of St. Augustine's at that present time, that if I could change back the hands of times, I would be a different person today. I know that saying I'm sorry is not enough. But if I can say anything more than I'm sorry, or do more than anything I'm sorry, I would do it. Mr. Chairman, we all know that being a victim is painful, but definitely no one can measure what it feels like to be on the other side of the coin, like where I was at that time. I am giving these closing remarks today with mix in the sense that I am grateful today to tell the truth of what has happened for nearly 22 years ago without fear, favor, or interference of any of our senior officers today. Likewise, in the past when there was interference and there was intimidation. Mr. Chairman, of course, there is need for a security sector reform. But there is also a need for the civil society to be educated on awareness and some sensitization to be done. There is need for the civil society to know their rights, but there is also a need for security officers to also know their limits. Every Gambian and non-Gambian should work towards the slogan of never again. I faced a lot of difficulties in the past that maybe someday I will be back to this commission to come and address. But Mr. Chairman, I also want to tell the Gambian people, as I am sitting here as the commander of the police anti-crime unit, responsible for crimes in this country, that the Gambia is a very safe country as people are speculating outside. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, in a very short while, we will be going into our tourist season. Some people are sending the wrong information about this Gambia. People are calling me every day from the outside, asking me whether Gambia is safe to be. This includes tourist guides, and it includes our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. But to tell everybody that Gambia is far safer than before. Far safer than before. Although there are troubles, little hitches in and there, some small little criminals trying to boggle into people's home at night, some little people trying to rob people, but it's not at the alarming stage. We are controlling it. Things has also happened to me in the recent past that because of media communication, people went to my home and burned my house to ashes. And at the end of the day, they knew that the information that was given to them was not the whole truth. And some of them even call me, myself, and say, go. Definitely balal ñu xamé wuñ ko ni. But it was the making of the Almighty God. I have forgiven everybody who took part. Like as I am sitting today here, asking Mr. Sabali to forgive me, so that the slogan never again will be. I thank all of you, and once again, I apologize to Mr. Sabali and his entire family and the people of St. Augustine's. Again, I say thank you to the command of the Gambia Police Force to giving me the opportunity without any intimidation to go over here and say the truth. I salute you all.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mbub, for your testimony. And I do hope and pray that those who called you to find out if Gambia is safe would make a distinction between two Gorgi Mboobs. Mboob 19 years ago lied, and he confessed to it now. Mboob today is a different one, and what you're telling them that Gambia is safe is the truth. But thank you again for coming to testify before the Commission, and we appreciate your endeavors. We will take a 1 hour break, come back at 3 heures. I'm sorry, at 3 o'clock, come sharp. Meeting is adjourned.